Welcome back. I'm Lynda Kinkade. Good to have you with us. Well, New Zealand officials say they've seized the black boxes from the Boeing 787 that suddenly plunged on Monday. Dozens of passengers on that LATAM Airlines flight were injured. The pilot said he temporarily lost control of the plane. Boeing is under investigation here in the US for the Alaska Airlines door plug blowout in January. Regulators are struggling to get key information. The National Transportation Safety Bureau says the security footage from when the door plug was repaired has been overwritten. Boeing CEO David Calhoun said he was unable to provide the names of those who worked on it. Well, I want to bring in our Pete Muntean for all of this and much more. Pete, good to see you. So let's start with this door plug issue, because this lack of transparency here for Boeing looks absolutely terrible. How on earth could they have zero documentation about who worked on this repair?
Well, it's really led to the woman leading this investigation putting Boeing on blast again. And Jennifer Homendy, the head of the National Transportation Safety Board, says Boeing's lack of a paper trail here is hampering this investigation. Remember, the NTSB's preliminary report on this Alaska Airlines door plug blowout back on January 5th says this: the 737 MAX 9 that was involved in this incident, delivered to Alaska Airlines late last year, came out of the factory without the 4 critical bolts that keep the door plug in place. Those bolts were removed at the factory because of corrective work on another part of the plane and then not reinstalled. This is the development. Boeing has not been able to produce paperwork of that detailed work. And here is what NTSB Chair Homendy said in her update to U.S. lawmakers out today: the absence of these records will complicate NTSB's investigation going forward. She also underscored that Boeing has been unable to locate the security footage of that work. Boeing's responded and says it supported the investigation from the start, and it will continue to do so.
Absolutely baffling. I want to ask you also about this Boeing plane that flew from Sydney to Auckland. The pilot says he temporarily lost control of the plane, which is frightening. How soon could we have information from the black boxes on board that plane?
The black boxes are really key to answers in this big mystery, and passengers describe this in-flight jolt on this LATAM Airlines Boeing 787, and LATAM says it was a technical event that caused a sudden movement on board, what leads to a lot of big questions. Passengers were thrown to the ceiling and bloodied, they said, 50 treated on the ground by first responders in Auckland. The latest update from the ground in New Zealand is that the cockpit voice recorder and the flight data recorder, the pair of pieces of systems that make up the black boxes, have now been removed, and they've been taken to the secure location in New Zealand. Chile is leading this investigation. That's where LATAM is based. New Zealand is helping, but investigators really will want to know this. Was this an issue with the flight controls? Was this an issue with the autopilot? Or was this just severe turbulence? Because pilots describe something a bit more than that. Their screens going dark, just one account, but the data recorder will really hold the unvarnished key. It can show the airspeed, the altitude, the position of the flight controls, even positions of switches on board the airplane. So there's really no hiding from the flight data recorder.
Yeah, it'd be good to get that information. And of course, sadly, a Boeing whistleblower was found dead. His family said he was looking forward to his day in court against Boeing. What are you learning about his death and the information he had against Boeing?
John Barnett was the name of this whistleblower, longtime former Boeing employee who'd raised safety concerns about the Charleston, South Carolina facility that builds the 787. Police say Barnett was found dead in his truck in a hotel parking lot with what appears to be a self-inflicted gunshot wound. His lawyers say he was in the middle of this multi-day deposition in this whistleblower lawsuit, that he was in good spirits, he was looking forward to putting this phase of his life behind him, and his lawyers also say they didn't really see any indication that he would take his own life. Boeing offered condolences in a statement, but it's a sad incident, really, as concerns about Boeing's manufacturing are taking the spotlight in multiple investigations, not just the 737 MAX 9 investigation, but there has also been concerns about manufacturing processes at the 787 plant as well.
Yeah, a lot to stay across. Pete Muntean, good to have you on the story. Thank you.
Anytime.
Well, Boeing shares fell more than 1% today. They are down sharply this year as the company appears to be going from one crisis to another. And it's led to questions about the company's leadership. Allison Morrow has been talking to people about what the solution may be. She joins us now from New York. Good to have you with us, Allison. So Boeing has suffered this string of problems in recent years. Trust in the brand is damaged. Investors are losing confidence, right?
Absolutely. You know, it's really hard to overstate how big of a crisis this is for Boeing, which has been in decline in a corporate sense for the last decade or more. But it's now the second worst performing stock on Wall Street. It's a really bad thing. And a lot of aviation analysts that I've talked to are saying, we've never seen anything like this. And we also don't have an immediate solution because it really kind of comes down to bad management that's been allowed in part by regulators and in part by the board to continue and to not fix the problems that it's known about for at least 6 years.
And Allison, you've been speaking to people who say that Boeing needs a complete leadership change, a shake-up. Any indication that changes might be coming?
There's really no indication that change is coming. You know, one expert I spoke to said they should fire everyone with a C in front of their title. You know, chief executive officer, chief operating officer, anyone with a chief in their title should go. But Boeing is a really unique company, and it's not subject to the same forces of capitalism the way you know, a company that has competitors in the United States would have. Boeing is a duopoly, and it really doesn't have domestic competition. So there's no backlash in terms of losing business because a lot of its business is coming from the government, and it's the only game in town. So the same kind of clarifying corrective forces that the market would normally play on a normal company are just not happening here.
So we know, Allison, that the National Transportation Safety Bureau are going to convene this rare hearing in August about that Boeing door plug that I was just speaking to Pete about. That'll happen in August. Can we expect regulators to get tougher on Boeing?
You know, I asked that question today of an analyst, and he said he's not confident. A lot could happen between now and August, and Boeing could decide to really get its house in order and change up the leadership and really make serious changes. But ultimately, for years, the FAA has been underfunded and kind of telling Boeing to self-regulate. So the FAA, its primary regulator, has been fairly toothless up till now, and people I've been speaking to say that's unlikely to change soon.
All right, well, we will stay on this story. Allison Morrow, good to have you with us from New York. Thanks. Well, some of the 41 counts in Donald Trump's Georgia election subversion case have been thrown out. As the case goes forward, we'll tell you why the judge said 6 counts didn't have enough detail.